changes for each of us. Let me state it this way. When you're in an emotional state, it's easy to slide into that area. And so what happens is, if you're upset or physically exhausted or discouraged or pessimistic, or you're bored or discontent, or you're spiritually dry or empty or lonely or disconnected, insecure or wounded or resentful, sad or grieving, you tend to fall into that mode. I slipped back into that. I head back into that area. I'm lonely or disconnected, I'm insecure or unsure, and sad or grieving a loss. And so I'm very open to be tempted that way. And I can fall into things that I know I don't want to do, but what happens is you fall into it and you realize, oh no, how did I do that again? And you beat yourself up. And the reality is that what you need to do is to learn to guard your heart, for it affects everything you do. Proverbs 4:23. Number 3, you need to learn your patterns. A wise man looks ahead, a fool tries to fool himself and won't face facts. What kind of patterns? Well, your patterns of temptation. Each of us have unique patterns of temptation. Just like you have a unique fingerprint, you have a unique voice print, you have a unique heartbeat, you have a unique eye print, you're unique in many, many different ways of your life. No two snowflakes are alike. No two human beings are alike. Even identical twins are different. You have a unique susceptibility to certain temptations that don't bother other people. Maybe there's something that really bothers you, and you just have a problem dealing with it, and it's very tempting. It brings you to temptation. Now, please understand, believers, if you know somebody has that temptation, and you know that's an area they struggle with, then you as a believer, out of love, are supposed to avoid that temptation yourself, even though it doesn't tempt you. Let me give you an example. Pastor friend of mine, his father's pastor loved baseball. He loved to watch baseball on Sunday afternoons and Saturday afternoons. He would watch baseball, and he really enjoyed baseball. Well, there was a new guy that got saved in his church, and he came to him one Sunday afternoon and says, "Pastor, I understand you like baseball." And he says, "I have a problem with that. I really feel like it corrupts people, and it advertises alcohol and all this stuff." Now, the guy was a new Christian. And the pastor says, "Well, it doesn't corrupt me. I don't have a problem." But he didn't say that. You know what he said? "I don't want to make you stumble, so I'm never going to watch baseball again. I give it up because I love my fellow believer." Now, it's a matter of, and it's the gray areas, the things that aren't really set in stone. Now, things that are set in stone, if God says this is a sin, it's still sin. And it's your responsibility as a believer that if you see somebody in sin, that you're supposed to, now I'm not about not lost people, I'm talking about saved. If you see a fellow brother and sister in Christ who was fallen into sin, you're supposed to go and talk to them about it. By yourself. You don't need to bring an audience, you don't need to bring a crowd, and you don't need to run to the pastor and say,